The real beauty of Bitcoin is that it has a natural rhythm, right? Protects the network or gives the network protection. In what I'll call a tactical sense, you have to go through that wall of digital power every day, but you don't. The network operators have all the power, not you. And that's the Bitcoin defense system for the short term. For the long term or strategic protection, go here. I'm talking about the security that has been built up over 100 years, the security that keeps Bitcoin from being banned or a government from taking all the Bitcoin miners, etc. This security comes from a mix of economic power, electrical power, computing power, and political power, In this informative piece, Michael Saylor talks about the safety and durability of Bitcoin. Long term, you should think about a more complicated way to protect yourself that doesn't just use technology. To do this, you need a lot of economic power, computer power, and even political impact. The Bitcoin network needs a lot of electricity. Bitcoin is safe from risks like government interference or the chance that it could be completely banned thanks to this mix. In a way, it's like having a council of guards with different kinds of power watch over the castle for hundreds of years. In the end, Saylor thinks that Bitcoin security is a complex mix of short-term technological defenses and long-term protections based on a mix of economic, political, and computational strength. This two-pronged method not only makes Bitcoin very hard to hack every day, but it also protects its place in the world for future generations, so Bitcoin miners. Is it true that they're sending electricity power and computer power? They're the physical part, but the political power comes from the hundreds of millions of people who own something related to Bitcoin, like Bitcoin spot ETFs, MicroStrategy stocks, stock in Block, stock in Coinbase, or even Bitcoin itself. These are all the things, you'll use your political power to lobby if you join the political community. The other thing that really protects Bitcoin is economic power. And I think it's important to reiterate this because this is proof of how smart Satoshi was. Satoshi came up with a great idea. We had a fair start. Those million Satoshi coins never moved and there was no pre-mine. At this point, the only ways to get Bitcoin are to either buy it with real money or spend a lot of money on mining tools, electricity, and capital to set up mining centers. We can figure out how much money has gone into mining in the past, but I don't think it's too much to say that $20 to $40 billion have been put into the mining environment. You can track billions of dollars of capital to companies like Marathon alone. How much money has been put into mining? $10 to $100 billion. But how much real money has been put into the other side of the equation? As of right now, let's look at the MicroStrategy. I know I've put more than $5 billion into the network, and I'm not even 1% of that amount. If you look at the 4-year simple moving average of Bitcoin and assume that was a good indicator, you can figure out that almost $650 billion of real capital has been put into this network. From BlackRock to all institutional investors in the US to all institutional investors in Europe, from millions of people like pension funds and retirement funds and other financial institutions, a lot of money has been put into this network. In the end, the security of the network will depend on what people do as voters, what capitalists do, and what businesses do like Cash App or Coinbase. You know, the miners have an effect, and they all have lawyers, CEOs, lobbyists, employees, a network, and pay taxes, so mayors, governors, senators, and other officials who back them. Now, this is an interesting framework. If you want to look at any rival network, just put it here. Check out any other cryptocurrency network that uses the same framework and see how much real money has been put in. Talks about the one financial network thinks of Bitcoin, but to mine, you need a lot of fuel and fast computers. He also looks at Bitcoin in light of other cryptocurrencies. There's more to this process than just. Taking note of the differences posted is also about keeping the state transition safe and moving smoothly. Saylor also looks into the nature and political power of the people's voice world. If you own valuable things like real estate or art, this in-depth study gives you a voice. That's what Saylor says about Bitcoin's role as a digital currency and a long-term store of value. It's important to note that people who use or hold digital currencies are part of a big community that can use its voice to protect itself and change decisions. 3 economic powers are interested in Bitcoin as an investment. Saylor thinks that Satoshi Nakamoto was a genius for starting Bitcoins. In a fair way that doesn't give anyone an edge, no pre-mine at first, mining Bitcoin was the only way to get it. This needed a lot of money to be spent on technology and electricity. People and businesses have put billions of dollars into mining over the years to show how much they value and believe in Bitcoin. Bitcoin miners have put between $20 billion and $50 billion into permanent capital for digital power. What share of all digital power capital or digital power capital do they make up? Does that sum up all the cryptocurrencies in the world? Matt, 95% would most likely be the smallest number you could come up with. It's somewhere between 95% and 99%. It makes sense, which is why you come back to the idea that you have one thing, a digital property, a digital good, a digital money system, and is that right? Perfected for this, and then everything else is just speculation. The biggest holders of money buy more of it, while the biggest holders of fantasy sell more of it. So the real question is, are you the ones buying or selling? I'll give you an example of a great asset class that is money. Apple will buy more with Apple stock, and many people who own Apple stock will also buy more. Real land in New York City, London, or Palm Beach having laundry space is worth money. There is no one talking about how they sold all their nice homes in Palm Beach, New York, and London when you look at rich people. More is being bought. If you've ever met a wealthy family with real estate, They don't just sit around and say, yeah, we're going to sell next year to diversify. Over 10 years, we'll make a big profit and get rid of the whole portfolio. It sounds like they're excited about the next deal. These are the things we plan to buy this building, that other thing, right? They buy and hold, and most of the time they do this to give to their children's children. Yes, the same is true for work that is good art. Collectors, you know what I mean, Andy Mellon, they didn't buy art to sell it, did they? There are no speculators. I got a Picasso with the intention of selling it. That's why they're called collectors. They wanted to buy all of them. If something is really important, you already paid $1 billion for it, and your goal is to pay another $1 billion for it. So which part of the crypto world do you think is right after thinking about all of these things? Does that sound right? A lot of Bitcoin were bought by me. I want to get more Bitcoin right. It's just an easy acid test. Does that sound like Andrew Mellon's exit plan, or do you have your own? Andrew Mellon's plan for getting out of the business was to buy all the cool art. I'm going to use whatever I can get my hands on to build a beautiful building in Washington, D.C. As a gift to the people of the land, I'm going to give the art to the National Gallery. Saylor makes an interesting point about how Bitcoin is different from other ways to trade. Showing how Bitcoin is different in the digital world. Let's keep things simple and look at his ideas. Bitcoin is the star of the internet. Imagine a big pie that shows all the money that people around the world have put into cryptocurrencies. Saylor says that Bitcoin miners have baked the biggest piece of this pie by spending between $20 billion and $50 billion. We think this piece is between 95% and 99% of the whole pie. This huge investment shows that Bitcoin stands out from other cryptocurrencies like a building. Compare that to those that might look more like small houses. Bitcoin is different in what ways? Saylor makes it clear that Bitcoin is different from other cryptocurrencies. He compares Bitcoin to valuable long-term investments like art, luxury real estate, or even stocks of great companies like Apple. These are more than just investments. It's more like a gem that people keep and hope to pass down to future generations or add to their collection. Bitcoin and financial treasures look at high-end homes, art, and Bitcoin in the same way that rich people keep buying expensive homes and important art. They want these treasures to stay in their homes for generations. People who hold on to Bitcoin, also known as holders, see it as a valuable object that they should save and treasure over time. Apple stock. Just like how Apple buys back its own stock to show it believes in its value, people who invest in Bitcoin keep buying more Bitcoin. This shows that they don't just see it as a bubble for speculation, but as a safe way to keep money, like having a piece of a tech giant. The collector's mind think of art lovers who buy art not to sell it quickly for a profit, but to enjoy it and pass it on to future generations. Bitcoin, in Saylor's eyes, fits into this group. It's so valuable that the long-term goal is to get more of it, not sell it. What value money vs? I think about it, Saylor suggests a basic but deep way to tell the difference between an object that is just speculation and one that is a real store of value. Do the biggest buyers want to buy more, or do they sell when they want to buy? It's like money, you trust it and hold on to it because you think its value will stay the same or go up over time. Saylor says that this way of thinking is what makes Bitcoin unique among digital currencies. To put it simply, Bitcoin isn't just another cryptocurrency. It's a digital form of money that people want to hold on to and also want to buy more of. It's like being a member of a private club whose goal is to gather and keep things. Not just make money and sell. This way of thinking is similar to how collectors and investors in high-end real estate see Bitcoin as a unique